Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Thank you. 'Cause I know that you love me. 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 'Cause I know that
Wednesday, January 17th, 2024, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. The battle in Louisiana over a second majority black congressional district continues after the state legislature reneges on a bipartisan agreement on the proposed congressional maps. Of course, House Speaker Mike Johnson wants to stop it as well. We'll talk with Louisiana State Rep Candace Newell and Jared Evans from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund about this case. In Baltimore County, in Maryland Public School, a principal allegedly recorded making derogatory remarks about staff, black students, and Jewish families. The school district responds. According to the findings from the Axios Vibes survey by the Harris poll, Americans have a surprising degree of overall satisfaction with the economy. Wow, that's completely different than what's often reported in mainstream media. Speaking of that, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, he said, we have got to stop criticizing MAGA voters. Really? Hell no. Patriot Bank agrees to settlement with the Department of Justice over race-based lending allegations in Tennessee. Hey, Nikki Haley, racism is still real. Plus, Vice President Kamala Harris was on The View today and talking about what they will do in a second term if they are in the White House. And yes, she has something to say about Nimrata Haley. Folks, it's time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now.
right, celebrating too soon. Last night, we showed you the tweet from Janae Nelson, President and Director Counsel for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, where she was elated about the creation of a second black congressional district in Louisiana because of this bipartisan update. Well, guess what? Louisiana Republicans then reneged on that because you have House Speaker Mike Johnson, who's like, hell no, we ain't creating a second black district. That's going to hurt us Republicans. Joining me now, Louisiana State Rep Candace Newell, as well as Jared Evans, Policy Counsel for the LDF. Glad to have you here. Representative Newell, I want to start with you first. What the hell happened? Representative Newell, can you hear me? All right, not sure if she can hear me. Jared, I want to start with you. What happened to this bipartisan agreement, Jared?
We can hear you, Representative Newell. Go ahead.
Jared, go ahead.
Well, Roland, at the beginning of this week, we met with the Black Caucus, and we told them that no matter what happens, look, we are going to get this map, whether the legislature passes a fair map of 2 majority black districts or the court draws it. So irrespective of what politics they have going on their side of the aisle, what the Speaker of the House and any other players, national names want to weigh in on what's going on down here, this is the most confident that we've ever been. There's a map in the process that has moved from the Senate, and that's going to be heard in the House committee tomorrow. And should something fall apart, should that do not happen, look, the federal judge, Judge Dick, in the Middle District here in Baton Rouge has said that if nothing happens by January 30th, she's going to draw the map. So it's not necessarily a loss for us that there might be some playing going on their side of the aisle.
Representative Newell, bottom line is Republicans have done all they could to stop the creation of this district, no different than what Republicans did in Alabama. They do not want to see black folks do well in your state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Candace Newell here. Yes, I would agree with that. It seems as though my Republican colleagues view this not as black voters getting what they deserve, what the numbers and population dictate, which is more representation. It's being seen as though that Republicans are losing power instead of us getting our fair representation and our fair chance at power. I've been on House of Governmental Affairs for 5 years now, and we have been working on this redistricting process since 2021. I can't believe we've gotten this far with the district, with the map that gives 2 seemingly solid districts. I can't believe we've gotten this far, but we shall see what these next few days.
Jared, this is not a question of Republicans losing power. It's a question of black people having proper power based upon the numbers. Louisiana is more than 30% African American. What Republicans have been doing is they have been disenfranchising black folks by forcing all of them into 1 congressional district.
And Roland, the message for that everyone should get out of this process is that Louisiana has absolutely no business operating in elections without the supervision of the Justice Department. When Congress passes the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, Louisiana must be covered under that pre-clearance formula. There is no way that this map would have seen the light of day if Section 5 had still been in place. And Roland, this is just one example of, as Representative Newell can speak to, precinct closures, issues at polling sites that we've seen, voter intimidation. There's just no way that Louisiana should be able to do anything in voting and political participation without the Justice Department supervision.
Representative Newell, what is the governor saying? Jeff Landry was Attorney General. He fought this, but he then said he was aboard this bipartisan agreement. Is he telling his party to get their act together and get in line and support this? Because at the end of the day, the courts have ruled. Speaker Mike Johnson, he is sitting here saying that he wants another trial. Hey, man, you've had enough trials, multiple trials, up and down, going to the Supreme Court, coming back, different reviews. Y'all lost. Take the L.
Yes, I'm with you. Take the L. I would be willing to let the courts draw it at this point. However, I don't know what Governor Landry is saying in those closed-door meetings with the Republican Party. However, he has made it public that the congressional map that is moving now, that he is in support of that one. And we, the Democratic Party, Black Caucus, we have been working in with Mr. Evans and LDF to ensure that Black voters are actually getting what they deserve from this map that is moving. So there is some support from Governor Landry behind the map that is being presented that we will hear on the House side tomorrow.
So again, last point here, Jared. These Republicans, Speaker Johnson, he's hoping there's going to be another trial, but the reality is the courts have ruled. So y'all are just simply waiting for them to get their act together, or the courts are going to draw this district, correct?
We're not waiting around for anything, Roland. We are preparing for trial on February 5th. You can't count on this legislature for anything. We certainly aren't counting on them to deliver us a map. We are preparing our experts, preparing our witnesses, preparing our clients. Ashley Shelton and the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, and Mike McClanahan, president of the Louisiana NAACP State Conference, and Devontae Lewis. Several of our individual plaintiffs are fully prepared to go to trial on February 5th, should they adjourn on January 30th without getting us a map.
Gotcha. All right, Representative Newell, Jared Evans, thanks a bunch. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Roland. Take care.
All right, folks, we'll talk about this with our panel. When we come back, we'll also talk about Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Morgan Chase, saying we should not be criticizing MAGA voters. They're not that bad. I think he may need to go to the concussion protocol program. Break that down, a lot of other stuff as well. We'll be back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Grow your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, nurses are the backbone of the healthcare industry, and yet only 7% of them are Black. What's the reason for that low number? Well, a lack of opportunities and growth in their profession. Joining us on the next Get Wealthy is Needy Bartanilli. She's going to be sharing exactly what nurses need to do and what approach they need to take ownership of their success.
So the Black Nurse Collaborative really spawned from a place and a desire to create opportunities to uplift each other, those of us in the profession, to also look and reach back and create pipelines and opportunities for other nurses like us.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up? Geek Tony in the place to be. Got Kicked Out Your Mama's University, creator and executive producer of Fat Tuesdays, an air hip-hop comedy. But right now, I'm rolling with Roland Martin, unfiltered, uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable. You hear me?
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go right to my panel. Rebecca Carruthers, Vice President, Fair Election Center, Washington, D.C. Robert Patillo, host of People, Passion, Politics, News and Talk 1380, WAOK in Atlanta. Joy Cheney, former Executive Director for the Washington Bureau, Senior Vice President for Policy and Advocacy for the National Urban League out of D.C. Glad to have all three of you here. Rebecca, it's clear Speaker Johnson sees what's going on. They have a very very narrow majority in the House. Republicans are freaking out. If you add a black district in Louisiana, add a black district in Alabama, if you get a pick of a black district in Georgia, you pick up 2 of the black districts that Ron DeSantis obliterated in Florida, you're now talking about 5 seats. You throw in what Democrats are doing in New York State, but they may very well pick up anywhere from 4 to 6 seats right there. Now we're talking about 11. Republicans are going, my goodness, we will then be in a minority. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely, but even to the point that you were when you were talking to the guest in the previous segment, it's like, bottom line, this is also about Black representation. We see an erasure of all institutions in this country. We see a demonstrated erasure of Black folks and Black history in this country. And we see an erasure of Black political representation in this country. So I think this is a very good thing. But something I want to point out to your viewers is that one of the names that we just heard was Ashley Shelton with the Power Coalition. I know there are many viewers who are skeptical of the Democratic Party, but one thing I would tell you from working directly with Ashley is representing Black folks in Louisiana, making sure that Black folks in Louisiana actually have a voice to power. And she looks for different ways to continue to mobilize Black people, not just in an election year, but year round. So as folks are trying to figure out who is out there doing the good things, Ashley Shelton, the Power Coalition, are definitely people who have Black folks' interests at heart.
Robert, for all of these stuck on stupid Negroes out here who love to say voting doesn't matter and I don't know what y'all fighting for, the bottom line is when we are fighting for these districts, we're fighting for Black power. The reality is if you are Black in Louisiana and your member of Congress is Republican, they are voting against your interests at every step of the way. They're voting against your health care interests, your civil rights interests, your voting rights interests. They're voting against opportunities for African Americans when it comes to Black businesses. And so that's why these things matter, and that's why these civil rights groups are critically important when they're fighting these battles in the courts.
Well, Roland, if voting didn't matter, why is the other side fighting so hard to stop you from voting? I think it has to be clear that if you look at any late-stage ethnic clashes, as it would be, you have seen it, whether it be in South Africa, whether it be in Kosovo. One of the methods that's taken by the majority group, if they lose that majority status, is to cut back on the political abilities of minority groups to have a voice in the legislature. We've seen this happen all over the world, and that's what's happening here in the United States of America. As we get closer to that point, that singularity, where we'll be a majority-minority nation, what we're seeing is them putting in place the legislative backbone so they can maintain white supremacy and white power even after no longer having a majority in the nation. This is why they have been fighting against voting rights for the last 30 years. They saw this day coming. This is why they've been fighting for gerrymandering, why they've been fighting tooth and nail at every corner to maintain their majority, because what they realize is no longer a political question about will I lose the next election. It is this question becoming a permanent minority party in the United States of America. You don't have a majority of Black voters. You don't have a majority of Latino voters. You don't have a majority of female voters. You don't have a majority of gay voters. You don't have a majority of young voters. As Lindsey Graham said, there are not enough old white men being born to keep the Republican Party alive, and that's why they're fighting as they are today.
Look, on that point, Joy, that's what I keep trying to explain to people. I did so in my book, White Fear, that guess what? White death rates are increasing across the country more than annual white birth rates. White folks can holler all they want about the Great Replacement Theory, but they the ones who stop screwing. And so the bottom line is you can't keep complaining about the population in this world when they the ones who ain't having babies.
I don't know what else to say other than so I'm gonna make sure we have the rest of the
All right, hold tight 1 second. Something is up with your audio. I need y'all to fix that. And so I'm gonna go to Rebecca on that particular point and come back to you. I mean, Rebecca, that's just the real deal. They are right now angry and out of their minds because the browning of America, which we all predicted. And again, we didn't tell them to stop screwing. They decided on their own.
Well, Roland, this is not the first time that this has happened in American history. When I think about 100 years ago, when I think of our immigration policy at that point, it was to allow Western white Europeans to come into this country, but those who were Eastern European or from other parts of the world, there was an actual, there was a limit in how many of those people could migrate freely into the country, immigrate freely into the United States. So this is not the first time that white people have been scared about their population population numbers in this country.
Yeah, but see, the problem is that's when we were like some 90+% white. Now the real problem is like, oh goodness, by 2043, Joy, they're going to be around 47%, and they literally cannot handle it.
They can't handle it. I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
And that is what's been happening, not just here, but when we're talking about fighting African Americans and Latinos and their ability to vote all over the country. We're talking about Louisiana tonight, but this is their plan to win. What they should be doing is trying to convince Black voters and brown voters and Asian American voters to vote for them. But instead of doing that, they want to prevent you from voting. So, as we discussed before, there's two halves of that. There's what they're doing, but there's what we've got to do. If you are not voting, if you don't have a plan to vote, you're a fool. And I know that's wrong to say, and I know that people don't like it when we say that, but the fact of the matter
that ain't
is,
wrong to say. I say stuck on stupid all the time.
Yeah.
That ain't wrong to say.
They don't want you to vote. And let me just hone in on one other thing. What the gentleman from LDF said was right. What this really means is that there are states like Louisiana all over this country, and those states and the leaders of those states cannot be trusted to implement elections without having the tools in the federal government to monitor those elections and ensure they are not discriminating and disenfranchising Black voters. It is vitally important that we restore the full strength of the voting.
Look, bottom line is this, though. Here's the deal. You cannot restore the full strength of the Voting Rights Act unless you change who is in power. And so that means that it ain't going to happen if Democrats do not control the House. They got a slim majority in the Senate, which also begs for the moment for Senator Chuck Schumer to actually put a voting bill back on the agenda. And that's what he needs to do. The reality is, Rebecca, that Senator Schumer has to understand this is an election year. And it might go down, it might lose, but I would rather them keep reintroducing a bill than just simply saying, oh, well, we can't get it done. And you can't just sit back and go, hey, you know what? We passed $35 for insulin. That's one thing, but you got to keep fighting for voting rights. And then now you put the pressure on the Republicans in the House to vote against it.
Absolutely. Make it a litmus test. Do you care about this democracy or do you not care about this democracy? If you are an elected official in the United States Senate, then you need to go on record and be forced on record to say whether or not you believe that eligible Americans should be able to vote. If your answer is no, then vote no. If your answer is yes, vote yes. But Schumer needs to raise this to an issue of national import because it's a very important issue nationally. And he needs to make this a voting issue going into the November election. And finally, like I said before in the show, if the Democrats hold on to the Senate, then in the next Congress, they need to make sure that they change the rules for passage on all voting rights legislation to be a simple majority, meaning that there should not be a 60-vote closure vote to end debate, to actually have the final debate, to have the final vote on the floor. It should be a simple majority for this thing to get on the floor and for them to end debate and actually vote yes or no. Do you believe in voting rights in this country?
We'll see. Go ahead, Robert. Go ahead real quick.
Well, the problem is Schumer knows he doesn't have the votes on the Democratic caucus. He knows that people like Sinema, Manchin, perhaps Fetterman, Tester will vote in opposition to that. And he doesn't put them in a bad position going into the midterm elections. We have to make sure that we do our homework on our side and get all the Democrats on board before we simply criticize the Republicans.
Hold on, Robert, hold up. Fetterman ain't running. Sinema ain't running. You mentioned Tester. Ain't no black people in Montana.
But Roland, the point is, if you put this on the floor and you come back with 44 or 45 Democratic votes, and then the issue ends up dying. So we need to make sure we have all Democrats on board because they do need us in every aspect of it. They're come to us in the next couple of months saying how much they love us, how we're the backbone of the party.
Here's the deal.
But right now, they don't have the entire Democratic caucus on board.
Bring them out.
You put it on the table to make them step up or step out.
And let me just say, Senator Tester is not the problem. It is Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema that are the problem.
And Manchin not running for re-election, and we already know what we're going to do to Sinema when she runs. We taking her ass out.
That's right, and I think she's been under pressure, and so maybe we will have a different outcome than we had 2 years ago. It is vitally important. Also, we need Democratic voters to see our leaders fighting for them. So the goal, it may win, it may lose. People may like it, they may not. But we need others to see us being caught trying. We have got to put a voting rights bill on the floor. We need to make deals, do everything else. And Rebecca is right. There are all kinds of exceptions to the filibuster, including around the budget, where we've all heard about reconciliation. That's just an exception to the filibuster rule. We need an exception when it comes to voting rights, because we know the filibuster has been used time and time again to try to stop voting rights legislation, and that is by design. So it's time that we say that, and it's time that we take that to Democrats, Republicans, Independents, whomever. Are you for all Americans being able to vote, or are you not? Are you for democracy, or are you not?
All right.
That's the question.
Hold tight 1 second. We come back. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says we need to be more respectful of MAGA voters. Not on this show. We're going to discuss it up next. Folks, be sure to support us in what we do. We need 20,000 of our fans on average contributing $50 each. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day to our Bring the Funk fan club. Y'all know we're out here fighting the good fight against these ad agencies who love to ignore black-owned media. So your contributions matter. That will raise $1 million to support our efforts. You can see your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, or Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox, Samsung Smart TV, and of course, be sure to check out our 24-hour streaming channel available on Amazon News. Go to Amazon Fire, tell Alexa play news on the Black Star Network. You can also watch us on Plex TV, Amazon Freevee, Amazon Prime Video. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available. Ben Bella Books, IndieBound, Target, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. You can also download the audio version on Audible. Be right back.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
I'm Paula J. Parker, truly proud of the Proud Family.
I am Tommy Davidson. I play Oscar on Proud Family, Louder and Proud.
Hi, I'm Joe Marie Payton, voice of Sugar Mama on Disney's Louder and Prouder Disney Plus. And I'm with Roland Martin on Unfiltered.
court where Donald Trump is battling E. Jean Carroll. Now remember, he was found liable for sexually assaulting her, got awarded $5 million. His dumb ass then went out and started talking about more trash about her, so she sued him again. So they go to court. He acted a fool today to the point where he started arguing with the judge. Somebody said he was acting like Gator the crackhead from Jungle Fever. At one point, literally, the judge said he needed him to shut up. That when he was talking to his attorneys, he was talking so loud the jury could hear. So he acted a plumb fool. Now, this is the same person, 4 trials, indicted 91 times, who trashes everybody. He talks about everybody. He disses people who voted for Biden and Harris, trashes them left and right. His supporters call Democrats voters pedophiles. They advance Pizzagate. They do all of these different things. And then Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, does an interview with This Morning with CNBC, live from Davos, which is like where all the billionaires get together. So it ain't like regular ordinary people or out there amongst the resorts and, of course, all of the skiing and the fun they're doing out there. But I got to play for y'all what Dimon said, what we should not be doing when it comes to MAGA people. Watch these pearls being clutched.
How do you see the U.S. economy playing itself out over the next 12 months? This is an election year. We've been talking a lot about what just took place in Iowa and trying to understand how the American public is going to feel about the economy may ultimately dictate how the president is decided.
Yes, I agree with that. I think it's a mistake to assume that everything's hunky-dory. And, you know, and when stock markets are up, it's kind of like this little drug we all feel. Like, it's just great, you know. But remember, we've had so much fiscal and monetary stimulation. So I'm a little more on the cautious side, that we are facing a lot of things in 24 or 25. And we mentioned Ukraine, the terrorist activity in Israel, the Red Sea, quantitative tightening, which I still question if we understand exactly how that works. I don't think we do. How QE actually worked, what the effect of negative, zero rates was for all this time. And obviously the politics, and and then the Ukrainian war is affecting oil, gas, food, migration. So you have all these very powerful forces that are going to be affecting us in 24 and 25. So if I was the government, I would be preparing for what I'm going to do about that, assuming things aren't good. And I just also want to point out, I wish the Democrats would think a little more carefully when they talk about MAGA, and if you travel this country. And the country's unbelievable. We took our bus trip this year, and Leslie Picker was on Spokane and Boise and Bozeman. People are growing. They're hungry to grow. They're innovating. It's everywhere. It's not just Silicon Valley. So we've got this great hand. But when people say MAGA, they're actually looking at people voting for Trump, and they think they're voting, and they're basically scapegoating them, that you are like him. But I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. Now, if you look, just take a step back, be honest. He was kind of right about NATO. Kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well.
China virus.
Tax reform worked. Mm-hmm. He was right about some of China. I don't like what he did.
No, I said China virus.
Yeah, I understand. He may have been right. And I don't like how he said things about Mexico. But he wasn't wrong about some of these critical issues. And that's why they're voting for him. And I think people should be a little more respectful of our fellow citizens. And when you guys have people up here, you should always ask the why. Not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump. Why are you supporting Trump?
It's hard to hate 75 million of your fellow Americans. And
I agree.
It's done
and, the Democrats have done a pretty good job with the deplorables, hugging onto their Bibles and their beer and their guns. I mean, really, could we just stop that stuff and actually grow up and treat other people with respect and listen to them a little bit? And I do think the economy will affect. And I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
How do you see the U.S. economy?
Let me call bullshit what I see and hear bullshit. So allow me to unpack what you just heard from Jamie Dimon. First, Jamie Dimon goes on this whole spiel about, I don't know about
this economy, and we gotta be careful about this economy. We got a lot of different things happening across the world, and just the stock market, and how fickle these things are. That's interesting. That's interesting. Go to my iPad. Go to my iPad. Here's a headline from November 29, 2023. Jamie Dimon says to be prepared for a recession. Here's an article from January 10th, 2024. Fortune magazine. Jamie Dimon skeptical about Goldilocks economy scenario. Then another story, Fox Business. Jamie Dimon, U.S. economy started to look more like the 1970s. But let me go to October 2022. Here's an article on CNBC. And look at that headline. This is serious. J.P. Morgan's Jamie Dimon warns U.S. likely to tip into recession in 6 to 9 months. The article is dated October 10th, 2022. Do I need to remind y'all what happened in late 2022? Goldman Sachs predicted we were going to go into recession. What happened in January 2023? Meta, Amazon, all of these companies start laying off people because all of these so-called really smart financial people were predicting we were going to go into recession. And what happened in October 2022, in November, and December, and January 2023, and February, and March, and April, and May, and June, and July, and August, and September, and October, November, they kept predicting we were going to go into a recession. What happened? We never went into a recession. They were shocked every month when the jobs report would come out. We've had, 36 consecutive months of job growth? They said, oh my God, inflation is killing us. America now has the lowest inflation of any major developed country. Inflation Reduction Act. Oh, who actually voted against that? Yep, Republicans did. They said this would do nothing to lower the inflation. So all of these great financial minds were saying how the economy was going to tank. And it didn't because of the smart actions of President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and largely Dems in the House and the Senate. So now all of a sudden we hear Jamie Dimon saying, oh my goodness, these worldwide things that are going on, Ukraine, Russian war, and gas prices. We've been dealing with that for the past year. I want y'all to listen again. Let me cue this up because Jamie Dimon said some things there that I thought were quite interesting, but it really also, it was tipping his hand because what Jamie Dimon was really saying was, oh my goodness, Trump was right about all these things. People don't care about family matters. And then you heard he said he was right about China, but not about those tariffs, which caused us to spend billions of dollars propping up largely white farmers in Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, because Trump's attacks on China tariffs were absolutely idiotic and it absolutely did nothing. Oh, this is the same Trump who had all of his products, his ties and belts and everything that were also made in China. The same guy who praises the Chinese dictator. This is the same guy. Oh, is that the same China that had a lot of patents for Ivanka Trump as well? Oh yeah, that's the exact same China. But listen a little bit more to Jamie Dimon, and I'm going to break this down further.
All these very powerful forces that are going to be affecting us in 24 and 25. So if I was the government, I would be preparing for what I'm going to do about that, assuming things aren't good. And I just also want to point out, I wish the Democrats would think a little more carefully when they talk about MAGA, and if you travel this country, and the country's unbelievable. We took our bus trip this year, and Leslie Picker was on Spokane.
We took our bus trip across the country. Jamie, what neighborhoods do you go to in your bus trip? How many MLK drives do you go to in your bus trip, Jamie Dimon? That's what I want to know. And what, you took it with CNBC?
I know you didn't take it with a bunch of black people, because I know the neighborhoods and the people who I talk to when I give speeches and travel the country. I'm talking to black business owners. I'm talking to people on the ground. I doubt, Jamie, you have ever even seen any of these people. But I digress. Back to this.
And Boise and Bozeman, people are growing. They're hungry to grow. They're innovating. It's everywhere. It's not just Silicon Valley. So we've got this great hand. But when people say MAGA, they're actually looking at people voting for Trump, and they think they're voting, and they're basically scapegoating them. That you.
Is that what we're doing? Now, y'all notice the businesses that he mentioned. Did y'all hear Jamie Dimon at any point say the people who are creating the businesses at a faster rate in the United States are black women? No. Did you hear him say that people of color have actually broken records 3 consecutive years under Biden-Harris for the creation of businesses in this country? He talked about innovation. All those things are happening. Guys, do me a favor. Get my interview from the Small Business, head of the Small Business Administration that we had at Operation Hope. Yeah, because she actually talked about exactly what has been happening with the economy in the last 3 years. See, Jamie, these are the people who can't afford to go to Davos. These are the people who can't afford to sit there and wear the cute parkas and actually do those things. In fact, before y'all get that together, pull the clip last night we used from Stephanie Newell when she talked about these guys on Wall Street and how they should be praising Biden and Harris, and they don't. Oh, yeah, I think she was talking about Jamie Dimon. But let me play a little bit more of what he had to say.
Or like him. But I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. Now, if you look, just take a step back, be honest. He was kind of right about NATO, kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well.
China virus.
Tax reform worked. Mm-hmm. He was right about some of China. I don't like what he did.
No, I said China virus.
Yeah, I understand. He may have been right. And I don't like how he said things in Mexico. But he wasn't wrong about some of these critical issues.
So I don't like how he said some things, but I sure love that tax reform. I sure love what he said about NATO. Is this the same guy who told Europe that if y'all are attacked, I will not defend you? Is that the NATO we're talking about, Jamie Dimon? This is the same guy who talked about, how he was right on some of the things, how he grew the economy. Please remind me, Jamie Dimon, who handed him a great economy? Last I checked, we had a housing crisis in 2007, 2008, because many of the banks that you know very well were giving subprime loans to black people, causing them to lose billions of dollars. 53% of black wealth was wiped out during the home foreclosure crisis. And guess what? Those banks are still in business. And what did banks like yours do? Sell those toxic assets to private equity. And that's why 40% of the homes in America will be owned by private equity by the year 2030. Is that a growing economy? And let me remind you how the unemployment rate skyrocketed in 2009, 2010, 2011, but we began to see the economy turn around in 12 and 13, 14, 15, and 16. Please tell me, Jamie Dimon, what the stock market was on the day of the inauguration when Obama handed Trump the keys to the economy. You can't sit here and tell me how great Trump was on the economy. That's like saying he was born, he actually hit the home run himself when his daddy set him up. No, he was born between third base and home plate. But you're saying these things to a business community who are largely conservative on CNBC. Here's also what he said.
That's why they're voting for him. And I think people should be a little more respectful of our fellow citizens. And when you guys have people up here, you should always ask the why. Not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump.
That's a great point, Jamie. I'll ask you, what's your why? Why are you saying that we have to be respectful to MAGA when it was MAGA that tried to overthrow an election, when it was MAGA that actually beat cops? It was MAGA that was angry with how black people voted, and Trump targeted black people in 4 cities: Atlanta, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee. Oh, what are those 4 black cities? Is that who we should be respectful to? We should be respectful to a Jim Jordan and a Kevin McCarthy who refused a subpoena to testify before the January 6th committee? That's who we should be respectful to, huh? Oh, really? Is that what it is? No, I don't think so. Let me play the rest.
Why are you
It's hard to hate 75 million of your fellow Americans.
I agree.
It's done quite a bit.
And, the Democrats have done a pretty good job with the deplorables, hugging onto their Bibles and their beer and their guns. I mean, really? Like, could we just stop that stuff and actually grow up and treat other people with respect and listen to them a little bit? And I do think the economy will affect. And I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
Oh, so the negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign. Remember when Jamie Dimon asked for the why? Here's why Jamie Dimon is actually saying that. Because when he doesn't want you to criticize MAGA supporters, people who vote for Trump, because he knows there are a lot of people, possibly including him, who voted for Trump on Wall Street because they wanted those tax breaks. They didn't give a damn about the rest of the economy. They wanted the tax breaks. And it could be, this is who Stephanie Rule was just talking about on MSNBC. Press play.
Because that Wall Street Republican, if you actually look at Joe Biden policies, they should be stoked about it, right? Look, I mean, we have a very strong economy given where we came from. Look at the infrastructure. Look at all that he's done. But why do they pull back? Because this idea that they have that he's super liberal, which he's not. And the reason they have this idea is because when they got into investment banking, when I did, those investment banks only recruited from 4 colleges, and they were Ivy League universities, and they didn't have any DEI initiatives. And they loved to hire lacrosse players and football players and sons of people that went to really expensive boarding schools. And that is why that group of Wall Street people think that Joe Biden is super liberal, because their son named Chad in a Patagonia vest isn't automatically getting into Princeton and gets to be in Eddie's class. That's why they feel that way.
They could probably still get it though.
So Jamie Dimon wants us to sit here and support, say we should not be so mean to these MAGA people. Yet these are the people who, when after 10 black people were gunned down in a grocery store in Buffalo, when Democrats tried to pass a bill condemning white supremacy, guess who voted against it? All except one Republican. When Democrats wanted to get rid of neo-Nazis in our military, guess who was against that? MAGA. When Democrats said we want to get rid of these Confederate monuments named after these military bases, guess who was against that? MAGA. Guess who agrees to a poll of 81% with Donald Trump that immigrants are poisoning the blood of the country? MAGA. We can go on and on, Jamie Dimon, but the reality is this here. You don't want to be associated with the crazies. So what you are saying is that Biden and the Democrats should be more respectful to MAGA. We should be more kind to them. We shouldn't call them deplorables. Are you speaking the same MAGA people who use critical race theory to target folks during the 2022 midterm elections and they were all lies? Are you talking about the same MAGA people who right now are against DEI, who are attacking HBCUs with aviation programs like Delaware State because racists like Elon Musk are suggesting that black people have lower IQs? Are those the MAGA people we should be lining up with, Jamie Dimon? No. What you're saying is, we don't want y'all dogging MAGA people who voted for Trump. And then they said they're not voting for Trump's family values. We know that because they're hypocrites. Because how could they be against immigrants when he married an immigrant? When his children are anchor babies? When his wife lied about her visa and how she got into the country? Oh, you know, Melania, the birther? Yeah, that's who we're talking about. But no. You don't want us calling them out. And they say it's hard to hate 75 million people. No, it's not. Not when those people are supporting an individual who is so demented, who is sick, who is a psycho, who literally wants to exact revenge against his enemies, but he could not take an ass kicking that he got in the last election. But we are supposed to somehow make them feel good because they're mad and they bring up the great replacement theory. And they love the likes of Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity and the other white nationalists on Fox News. Is that really what you want us to do, Jamie Dimon? And it's interesting. Jamie Dimon didn't talk about, what's happening with the economy. Consumer confidence increasing, the shrinking of the wealth gap between blacks and whites. You notice none of that stuff was mentioned. It was, no, we might be on the verge of recession. Why is Dimon saying that? Because the numbers are changing. Steve Ratner, Wall Street guy, former journalist, broke this thing down, showed this particular tweet today. Give me 1 second. And he showed exactly what is happening. Boom, here was a post that he made. U.S. total monthly business applications for likely employers. He said, we are in the midst of an economic boom. That's what Steve Ratner posted. Dimon did not mention that. Ratner talked about the post-pandemic surge. Look at this. Go to my iPad. 34% change in the United States in terms of annual business establishment entries. Belgium, 25%, France, 23%, Netherlands, 16%, UK, 16%, Canada, 10%, Sweden, 9%, Norway, 8%, Spain, 6%, Germany, 0.1%, Italy, minus 12%. So the United States, by far, is leading all other major countries when it comes to business entries. Oh, but the economy is doing so bad. No, we're not going to buy that one. And yes, I will call them deplorables. I will call them deranged, sick, psycho people. Because anybody who wants to vote for that man, even if they get nice, wonderful tax cuts, corporate tax cuts, Jamie, is out of their damn minds. Robert.
Look, one of the things I think that's important for us to understand about what Jamie Dimon said in particular is that it was factually inaccurate. If the world had followed Donald Trump's advice on NATO, he would have hollowed out the entire organization, and Russia will be in Moldova or Romania by now. What he said on China is completely inaccurate. In the last 2 years of the Biden administration, we've seen a 2 million person population decline in China, 5.1% growth, which was lowest in 30 years. We've seen economic scandals from Evergrande to the shipping crisis to the grain population. What he said about Donald Trump being right on the border. How the hell can you look at the border and say Donald Trump was right about that? We did not make the type of hemispheric agreements necessary to stop the migration crisis coming northward. We did not help the governments of Central and South America handle the narco-terrorism problem. We did not stop the American appetite for drugs, which is fueling all of this migration in the first place. So the idea of saying stay in Mexico and building a wall, that's not an immigration process going forward. When you talk about this conceptualization of, well, I went to Spokane, Washington, I went to Bozeman, South Dakota, I went to Boise, Idaho, and I saw America. Well, there's a whole rest of America where the actual population lives at. And you're seeing innovation, but you're also seeing the need for programs that are not being centered and targeted at Wall Street. And what this is really about is Jamie Dimon believes that tax cuts are so important, he's willing to sell out the rest of the American people. As long as you can get $2 trillion in tax cuts from Donald Trump, you don't care what happens to the rest of us. And even on one of the first points he made, when he talked about quantitative tightening. So quantitative tightening is a fancy way of saying raising interest rates. When they talked about quantitative easing during the housing crisis, they said we made interest rates too low. Quantitative tightening is what Powell's been doing for the last 2 years, raising interest rates in order to fight inflation. This is exactly what Paul Volcker did in 1980 to break the backs of double-digit inflation. The reason we didn't fall into stagflation is because of the raises in interest rates. Who did that hurt? Major banks like Jamie Dimon's not being able to make money the way that they did before. So everything he said was with what he said unironically, with the richest people in the world behind him at a ski resort, is basically saying that all the efforts that have been made to help regular Americans and to build an economy that works for everyone else is the wrong thing to do. And let's not be mad at the MAGA people for supporting somebody who called Latinos rapists and terrorists, who has said that he wants to bring retribution to the United States of America, who's called his enemies the vermin, who said that immigrants were poisoning the blood of our people. Don't be too mean to those people. But by all means, continue to bring these tax cuts. It was a completely ridiculous statement all the way through.
Joy?
Absolutely. I'm appalled at what Jamie Dimon said. Robert had it right. Donald Trump has been wrong on every one of those issues. Every one of those issues. And the fact of the matter is, they're not supporting him because of that anyway. They're supporting him because he said it. He is their retribution. Who calls them MAGA, Make America Great Again? They call themselves that. They call themselves that. We aren't disrespecting them. They are disrespecting our democracy. Appeasement is the greatest tool of a dictator. People who don't want to just acknowledge that there are racist people in this country. They are misogynist people in this country, and guess what? There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. That white fear that Roland talks about so often is very real. It's very real. He won't acknowledge that because those are the people who look like him.
Rebecca?
If it were me, and if it were anyone here, they would do that.
Rebecca?
I get it, Jamie. You think that Donald Trump is crass and you think he's tacky. Because after all, anyone who buries their ex-wife on their golf course, they're kind of tacky. They're not exactly the top echelon in class. But here's the thing. 3 out of 4 white men are registered Republican. More than 3 out of 4 white men voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. Morning Joe had America convinced that the white people who were supporting Donald Trump were the hillbilly elegy. Well, just like that book was kind of fake, that narrative is also fake. And here's the reality. Overwhelmingly on Wall Street is run by white men. The majority of them support Donald Trump. 80% of pilots in this country are white men, like we learned last night. But guess what? 3 out of 4 of them likely to support Trump. Jamie doesn't want to be associated with the crassness of Trump. He doesn't want to be associated with the racist policies of Trump. But he just said, well, I don't like how Trump says it, but I agree with his policies. Trump's policies were rooted in racism. Many of his policies were anti-Black. So what Jamie is telling us is, hey, I don't like how tacky Donald Trump is, but hey, I sure love those racist policies because it benefits my bottom line. It puts money in my pocket. It keeps me and my friends billionaires.
And with saying that, it reminds me, I'll make this point before I go to break, it reminds me of old Jack Nicklaus. When Jack Nicklaus, the big-time major golf winner, when Jack Nicklaus endorsed Donald Trump. And when I listened to that, when I listened to all of that back and forth with Jamie Dimon, I immediately thought about Nicklaus's endorsement. And I'm looking for it now because I never forgot it, and because if I come across Nicklaus one day, I might cuss him out. Because what Dimon essentially was saying is what Nicklaus was saying is, can y'all just move on around it? All the hateful, misogynistic, sexist stuff, you know, grabbing women by their vagina, how he would talk about and denigrate Black women and others, how he savages other people, how this man treats people, how this man, and this is what just trips me out. Because, see, I love these people who call themselves patriots, who call themselves loving Americans. When Donald Trump literally shitted on the dead soldiers when he was in Europe and would not even go to the cemetery to visit their graves because it was raining and it might mess up his hair. When he literally talked about those soldiers in such a nasty way, and that was confirmed by his then chief of staff, John Kelly, 4-star general. How this man has trashed and denigrated the late Senator John McCain, who was a POW in this country. It is amazing what these people will give up for their tax breaks. It's amazing what they will allow. They will allow the treatment of people, the negative treatment. This man here has said he is going to pardon every single person who was involved on January 6th, but we need to be more respectful to MAGA. We need to treat them better. We shouldn't call them deplorables. We shouldn't hurt their feelings, even though these people, as it stands right now, are doing the exact same thing to everybody else. These people, all that they are doing and how they trash people who don't agree with them, the things that they say about liberals and progressives and those who vote for Biden Harris. But I didn't hear Jamie Dimon defend any of them. It was only the MAGA deplorables. That's because he knows there's a lot of people he knows who is his buddies who vote for Trump, and they don't want to be mixed in with the racists, but you are. Because when you align with the thug in chief, that's what you get. When we come back, we're going to talk about how Americans are actually feeling about the economy, and it's not what Jamie is talking about. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Dr. Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, we talk about a hard, cold fact. Not all healthcare is created equal in this country, especially if you're a person of color.
So many of us, Black families, we rely upon each other heavily. A lot of us aren't necessarily sure how to best communicate with our healthcare providers.
How to take charge and balance the scales. Your life may depend on it. That's next on A Balanced Life on Black Star Network.
Next, on the Black Table with me, Dr. Greg Carr, author Dr. Maribel Mori, on her astounding and enlightening new book, White Philanthropy, a history we're betting you've never heard before. Don't miss an eye-opening episode of The Black Table, only on Black Star Network.
I'm Dee Barnes, and next on The Frequency, we're talking about the rise in great Black literature and the authors who are writing it. Joining me will be professor and author Donna Hill, discuss her writing journey and becoming a best-selling author.
I always was writing, but I never saw anybody that looked like me in the books that I was reading.
Plus, her work with the Center for Black Literature and next year's National Black Writers Conference. That's right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Devon Frank.
I'm Dr. Robin B., pharmacist and fitness coach, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
According to the Axios Vibes survey by the Harris poll, overall Americans, shockingly, media won't say this, are satisfied with their economic situation. 63% of Americans rate their current financial situation as being good, including 19% who say it's very good. 66% think that 2024 will be better than 2023. 85% feel we could change our personal financial situation for the better this year. 77% of Americans are happy with where they're living, including renters. Morgan Harper from the American Economic Liberties Project joins us from Columbus, Ohio. Morgan, glad to have you back on the show. Oh my God, Morgan, I swear I'm reading this and this is completely different than this narrative that I keep hearing on Fox News, ABC, NBC, CBS, NBC, in daily newspapers, on all these people who like the economy is falling. This is horrible. This is ridiculous. People are angry and upset. What the hell?
Yeah, these are very interesting statistics based on the narrative that we are constantly getting plummeted with in the media, just like you're saying. And it's good news. I mean, it's hard to take away anything from these statistics, but that people are feeling pretty secure and optimistic. Now, I do think a really important distinction here is that people are being asked directly about their financial situation, their ability to improve themselves. They are not being asked about
what political figure they associate with the state of the economy. And so it's still a little tricky to discern just what this will mean politically, but this is a sign that the average American consumer is feeling pretty good.
The reason I believe this is important is because I never negated the feelings of people when inflation was high. The reality is we saw the unemployment rate being at low. We saw wages increase, but the reality is corporate greed was driving the rise in inflation. And so, and Jamie Dimon knows that well, all of these major companies were reporting record profits, because they had jacked up prices and kept them high. And so that was having a negative impact on consumers. But what are we now seeing? We're now seeing month after month consumer confidence increase. Inflation is going down. It's what is it 3.2, 3.1? I can't remember what it is now, which is lower than when it was 7 and 8%. And so it's and again, I'm always having to remind people that listen, the pandemic hit in March 2020. We were dealing essentially in the pandemic from March of 2020, I dare say through the first quarter of 2023. So this notion that quick we were going to bounce back from a 100-year pandemic was completely nonsensical.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it was a true, I was just talking to somebody about this today. It was a very unprecedented time. And I don't think we were fully acknowledging that. I don't think the so-called experts were fully acknowledging that as we interpreted the data and just what people's sentiments were in that period. But you're right. I mean, right now we are seeing inflation come down. We are seeing the cost of gas, for example, which is an indicator that often is tracking on how the average person's feeling about the economy. Those gas prices have gone down by 11%. I thought it was very interesting in this data, and you included this stat, that renters are feeling good about the state of the economy, because housing prices are another thing that people look at, or the cost of housing, I should say, whether or not you're paying a mortgage or you're renting, about a signal for how overall the cost of living is going. And to have over 70% of renters happy with where they're at, that was a little bit surprising to me, I'll be honest. But I do think that, and I'm hearing this from people in Columbus, ongoing concerns about the cost of living, because though, the inflation rate is going down, some costs are going down, we are still building off of a higher base compared to pre-pandemic levels. And so we're going to have to continue to monitor all of these indicators pretty closely.
Yeah, but I totally get the housing situation, but you just heard me talk about it. And so what people don't understand is I was a county government reporter at the Austin American-Statesman. I was a city hall reporter at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram beginning my career. What was the area that I largely focused on was a part of my portfolio? Housing. And what I keep trying to tell people, and again, it's tied to the Dimon segment, during the home foreclosure crisis, we kept hearing toxic assets. Those toxic assets were homes where people were just walking away from. It was dragging down the balance sheets of those banks. They went to the federal government, asked for a bailout. The problem is the federal government did not give any stipulations on how they were to spend the money. So what did they do? They propped up their balance sheets, held onto those toxic assets. When the housing market rebounded, they then sold off those homes to private equity. That's why these private equity companies are able to go out and buy blocks of houses, 25,000 different blocks. A report came out, we discussed a couple of weeks ago, by the year 2030, 40% of all homes in America are going to be owned by private equity. Now, you also factor in the fact that between 2010 and 2020, and 2020 to present day, we have built fewer houses than we built since the 1930s. So now you have an increase in population, an increase in demand, you have lower availability, and so housing prices are going to be high, renting is going to be high, because we also are not building enough homes in each decade. If we end this decade at the rate we're going, that will mean 20 consecutive years of America not building housing to match what we did in the previous 70 years.
Absolutely. And I think the housing market is something we do need real leadership on that. And I agree with you. I mean, I don't think that we've had a really strong housing strategy in this country for some time. I think it is partly just increasing the supply, but then also getting at that level. It's like, okay, well, what are going to be the mechanisms to increase that supply? We've got to fast track some of the development costs and the licensing and all of that. I hear that from a lot of developers on the ground in Columbia. And I'm not talking about the big developers or these huge private equity companies, but just like people that are trying to do the right thing. Develop some housing, keep it affordable, support people in their community. It can be very expensive to do that. And so that is certainly, and then that leads into the homelessness issue and all of that. And this overall idea of, when you start breaking some of these numbers down by different generations, why you have people in the younger generation that aren't even thinking about buying a home because they're not going to be able to find one. And if they could, it's going to be too expensive, based on the overall cost that they're facing. And so, that's going to, and we are seeing this already. I mean, that's going to impact things like family decisions that people are making. What is our population growth going to look like? And this is where, just bringing it back to the political point is, we do need to have real leaders that are prepared to handle these things. And picking up on your last conversation, last time I checked, Jamie Dimon was not elected to be such a government official and make these decisions for us.
And you know what? I really try my best to ignore crazy people, but some people like to make stupid comments, and I sometimes like to make them go public. So Jupiter 1000. I love dumb people when they comment. He goes, Rolly, stop lying. Home prices have gone up. Even buying a new or pre-owned vehicle has gone up. Inflation is high. Okay, Jupiter, I guess you didn't have Schoolhouse Rock growing up. And I've been advocating we need Schoolhouse Rock 2.0. So Jupiter, let me help you out with some basic fundamental math. Higher demand, lower availability means prices go up. The reason why gas has gone down, Jupiter, production has increased, so therefore that means prices go down. When gas production gets cut, availability is lowered, gas prices go up because it's called supply and demand. Go to the dictionary, Jupiter. Look up supply, look up demand. We saw housing prices increase in this country because low supply. More people trying to buy homes. How do I know that, Jupiter? Because I paid off my home in Texas in 2008. My parents lived there. For the past 6 years, I have been inundated with emails, text messages, and phone calls damn near every day with people trying to offer to buy my house in cash. It's because of high demand, low supply. Idiot. Morgan, go ahead. I'm sorry. I had to digress.
Well, I do respect, something that Jupiter is saying here on inflation, and this is getting out.
And inflation was high.
Before. It was high, and it continues to be high, depending on what items we're talking about, and what is the bundle of goods and services that somebody is purchasing in their individual life, which is hard to determine, in broad strokes. And so, like I was saying, yes, the rate of inflation is going down, but we're still dealing with elevated prices from pre-pandemic. And so I hear Jupiter and what he's saying there. And I am hearing this from a lot of people about the cost of living. And this is what we now need to be looking at too.
And Morgan, while you're talking, guys, go to my iPad. You see it right here. Population growth has outpaced home construction for 20 years. You see the data right here. This is the chart, folks. Home construction has fallen by 55% since 2006. That means fewer homes being built. That means you have more population, meaning more people are demanding homes, fewer homes on the market available to buy. Therefore, housing prices increase.
Absolutely. And yeah, just one additional point on the housing. I mean, that does require communities being open to increasing that supply as well. That's kind of like the final piece of that puzzle. That's often at local government level about whether or not we are going to allow more density. And there can often be, a lot of resistance to that. The only other thing I was going to say on the inflation point is, yeah, rates coming down, but the prices are still elevated. And so I do think, and this is going to be something for us to watch, is a lot of these the same companies that were doing the greedflation, increasing prices during the pandemic because they had to cover up the supply chain issues, they still have that market power. So, one industry we've talked about, groceries, Kroger, Albertsons, this merger that now, folks are watching to see whether or not the Federal Trade Commission is going to block this, that would increase market dominance in the grocery sector. Then these companies, once you have that dominance, well, you can really do whatever you want. And yes, the pandemic provided a really clear opportunity to raise prices in an extreme way, but there are certainly methods for doing that, adding on fees, deciding that you're going to, nickel and dime us here and there, and there's no competition that they can take advantage of. Another area for us to look at, just an overall economy, and something that has happened recently, interesting, is in the airline space, another super consolidated industry. This JetBlue Spirit merger just got blocked. That's going to keep Spirit in the market. Spirit would have gone away if this merger had gone through. And that is a way that a lot of young people, a lot of us trying to get a deal, rely on Spirit to be able to, get to different parts of the country, and regional economy supported on that. And so, yeah, we really do have to break it down sector by sector. I'm glad you're, doing some of that in the housing. But this overall trend of increased market dominance and concentration is leaving us vulnerable to a lot of different prices and fees that could impact how people are feeling about the economy overall, and continuing to feel like prices are really high, like Jupiter was saying.
Last point I'll make before I go to my panel with their questions for you. When you talk about airlines, this happened after COVID. I remember the United Airlines CEO said, we're not going to recover to pre-pandemic levels until 2025. What COVID did was it caused a tremendous cutback on the number of flights. You had, there are some places I used to fly to where I could get 5, 6, 7 flights in a day. All of a sudden it was 2. So then all of a sudden prices went up dramatically. And so you're still seeing that. It's still continuing. So I got to keep reminding people who somehow believe that, oh my God, Biden, Harris, you're to blame for what's going on. The facts are the facts. You do not recover from a 100-year pandemic like it's a microwave. It doesn't happen that way. It literally is brick by brick trying to get back to where we were before. And that's still going to be hard, because if you're in the real estate business, especially office real estate, you're seeing where it's somehow you got 40%, a lot of places, 40 to 50% of offices not being filled. Why? Because people are now working differently. And so if you're working in a downtown and you now have occupancy down 40 to 50%, that means the convenience stores that are downtown and the businesses that are downtown don't have the same foot traffic coming into there. So that's why you're seeing businesses being shuttered. And so people need to understand all of these things are linked. And just saying, oh, the one person in the Oval Office changes it, that ain't the case, because no president can tell a company what to charge for goods and services. Can't do it. Joy, your question for Morgan.
Absolutely. Well, first, Morgan, I want to know what you feel about President Biden's housing supply gap plan. This administration has already done much of what you're already saying needs to be done. They are fighting to see that we up the supply of housing in this country. And they're also working on the Build Back Better plan, right? That is aimed at trying to get loans. So my question for you is, what do you think about that plan? I've heard it's good. What's your take?
Yeah, it does seem like in this administration, the federal housing plan has been strong. But, like I was saying earlier, I do think a lot of housing decisions come down to the local level of government. So there's only so much, that the Biden administration can do. That's where we need to have, our local leaders at the city level, at the county level, that are implementing strong policy that's going to make it easy for that development that's targeting the type of housing we need, which tends to be workforce housing that's at like 60% of the average median income, not just the luxury high rises that maybe, the pure private larger developers might be incentivized to create. And so I think we can, we should, and we have seen strong leadership from the Biden administration on housing policy and setting a strong housing agenda. But we also need to make sure that the different levels of government are following that lead and implementing. But that, and this is just getting back to another thing that Roland was saying, not only can you not recover from once in a 100-year pandemic overnight, it's pretty difficult to recover from 40 to 50 years of Reaganomics that we've been living in and really destroying a lot of strong government policy overnight as well. And so some of these things that the administration are doing will take time for us to see the full impact of. And I know it can be difficult as an individual citizen to have that kind of patience or fully take in all that they're doing. But that is something that, I'm always trying to make sure people are aware of.
Senator Joe Manchin, who cut out a lot of the housing money that was in the Build Back Better plan. That was all on Manchin. Robert.
Thank you so much for joining us, of course. I wanted to circle back to something Jamie Dimon said during the last segment about quantitative tightening. We see that it seems that the American people have kind of a fickle relationship with the two. On the one hand, you do not like inflation being 9.1% as it was in 2021. However, at the same time, people seem to not like interest rates being as high as they are when it comes to housing prices, when it comes to buying a vehicle, finance, etc. What do you predict the Fed will do this year to kind of strike that balance between quantitative tightening while also trying to maintain the drops in interest rate or the drops in inflation that we've seen?
Yeah, that's kind of the question of the hour, right? Is trying to predict what the Fed's going to do. But, when we're seeing things like wage growth that's going up, but it's still kind of leveling off from some of the earlier rates that we were seeing. But as you're pointing out, that inflation's going down, it's hard to believe that they're going to move in a direction of reducing interest rates anytime soon. And, depending on the type of consumer we're talking about, those interest rates may be more or less relevant. If you're a business person and you have to borrow money, well, of course, that is going to be something that you're very much aware of. Or if you're a consumer, and we are seeing this with hitting the $1 trillion credit card debt level, or among consumers, if you are paying on interest rates and credit cards and dealing with those kinds of fees, then you are going to be feeling the impact of those interest rates. But, whether or not that is more of a consideration than just the prices day to day and seeing inflation goes down, I kind of assume, most of the folks that I'm working with in Columbus, it's that day to day spending and just the costs of living that people want to see go down. And then we're talking about like a different set of consumers, business owners that are interacting more directly with interest rates. And that's the other interesting thing, like I was saying, seeing that figure about, not only are renters happy, but they also aren't looking to own, And so we could break that down by age or, depending what the situation is. But that's something to keep in mind as we're interpreting. This is another indicator people look a lot at as, how many mortgages are being closed. Well, if we have, some set of people coming up that have no interest in moving out of the rental category, whether it's because, like Roland was saying, the supply is low, prices seem high, what have you, then we need to reconsider how we're interpreting, what the significance of those mortgage rates and the interest rates that they're going to be paying might be.
Rebecca.
Thanks for being on tonight, Morgan. I do have a question. So we know that the American economy on a macro level is doing great. We know that GDP is steadily increasing for our country. I was looking at the methodology of the Axios poll, and one thing that really stuck out to me is that this was people self-reporting their feelings. And one thing that we understand is that feelings are not facts. So what are the actual facts about people's personal economies in America?
Well, that's a great point. And, I do think it's interesting. Like I say, the sentiment seems to be one of great optimism. But I do think sometimes it doesn't mean that we aren't being a little delusional, And so looking at the fact that retail spending was higher in the end of the year, people were certainly embracing the holidays, that people were spending a lot of that money on restaurants and bars, that can be an indicator of consumer confidence, but it also could be that we're maybe overspending, and seeing the level of credit card debt that people are holding. Yes, we want to live in the moment. Yes, we're still trying to take advantage of everything after the pandemic, but maybe we're not necessarily aware of some of those dynamics we're talking about and the lack of certainty ahead in 2024, 2025. So I think you're absolutely right that though the overall sentiment does seem to be a positive one, that people, are feeling good about their finances, feeling good about the future in this Axios poll, it doesn't necessarily mean at all that everything is good. And so that's where, I still continue to caution in just my personal life. I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but to let people know, it's like, we are in a moment that nobody knows what's going on. It's unprecedented. And so we need to continue to be, pretty careful in some of the financial decisions we're making, and demand from our elected officials, government leaders, to make sure they're talking to us about what we're experiencing, seeing as small business owners, as consumers, and that is getting incorporated into the policymaking process.
But I want to say this because, and this is the thing that I think is so basic, a lot of people don't quite understand about our economy. The American economy desperately wants people to spend and not save. It's amazing when we talk about American consumer confidence. It's based upon spending. So when credit card debt increases, America's excited because we say, look at people, they're spending again. But the moment Americans start saving, it's like, oh my God, what are they doing? They've stopped spending. So I just want everybody out there to understand that the American economy, capitalism, all of y'all broke people, everybody out there who's low income, who's working poor, and who's middle class, America needs you to keep spending. Because, and Morgan, it is so crazy to me. When I was on CNN, we had these conversations and all of these business experts, whatever, and I would sit there and go, I'm sorry, y'all, this is kind of basic to me. Our economy hates it when consumers stop spending, when they start lowering their credit card debt, because then they go, oh my God, they're getting frugal, and then we say, we're headed towards a recession. Oh Lord, they spending and they increasing their debt and they getting credit cards. Woo, things are going great. That literally is our economy.
Absolutely, yeah. And it gets to the prior question where just because people are spending, like I said, bar and restaurants, that doesn't make me excited to hear necessarily that people are spending all their money on bars and restaurants. So I agree. I mean, we have an economy and a lot of these big banks, getting back to Jamie Dimon, they're having big profits, record profits. What's driving some of those profits? Well, in certain cases of these institutions, it's us. It's that we aren't paying our bills on time, that there's assessing fees, that they're getting higher interest rates. We just had a rule today from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau talking about overdraft fees, that they make money when we don't have enough money in our account. And that provides billions of dollars to the financial sector every year that we're paying, and the people with the lowest incomes more than anybody. So yeah, you have to weed through some of the dialogue that's happening on all these shows among the experts, and that's what I mean. We really need to make sure we're having real people's perspectives that government folks are listening to, because yeah, you could easily walk away thinking like, oh, people are, as long as the money's flowing, all is well. It's like, well, the money's flowing often right out of our communities and into the pockets of people who already have plenty.
Absolutely. All right, Morgan, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. See you soon.
Folks, go to break. We'll be back in a moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Grow your business or career with Grow with Google's wide range of online courses, digital training, and tools. Gain in-demand job skills with flexible online training programs designed to put you on the fast track to jobs in high-growth fields. No experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace. Complete the online certificate program on your own terms. Stand out to employers, get on a path to in-demand jobs, and connect with top employers who are currently hiring. Take one professional career certificate program or all 6. Earn a Google Career Certificate to prepare for a job in a high-growth field like data analytics, project management, UX design, cybersecurity, and more. All professional career certificate programs must be completed by December 31st, 2024. Scan the QR code to complete the application. There are 1,000 scholarships available. Grow with Google and J. Hood and Associates. Be job ready and qualify for in-demand jobs.
I'm Dee Barnes, and next on The Frequency, we're talking about the rise in great Black literature and the authors who are writing it. Joining me would be professor and author Donna Hill, discuss her writing journey and becoming a best-selling author.
I always was writing, but I never saw anybody that looked like me in the books that I was reading.
Plus, her work with the Center for Black Literature and next year's National Black Writers Conference. That's right here on The Frequency on the Black Star Network.
Hello, we're the Critter Fixers. I'm Dr. Bernard Hodges.
And I'm Dr. Terrence Ferguson.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The clock is ticking for the Biden administration to ban menthol cigarettes, folks. This has been an ongoing focus. Health advocates say January 20th is the critical day for the decision because the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the agency that is behind the proposed ban, will need a year for full implementation. A decision this week would make a menthol ban effective by next year's inauguration day. But if the White House does not decide internally this week to approve a ban, and if the FDA cannot implement the rule in less than the year it has asked for, advocates worry that this proposal will never become a reality. Black smokers are disproportionately more likely to smoke menthol cigarettes. Some civil rights organizations with ties to the tobacco industry say a ban would criminalize menthol cigarettes, leading to an increase in deadly police interaction. The NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, and dozens of public health experts endorsed the ban, saying it would save hundreds of thousands of Black lives. Well, of course, we're there as well. All right, folks, time for our Black and Missing. Shirley Morales has been missing from Columbia, South Carolina since September 17th. The 15-year-old is 4 feet 9 inches tall, weighs 119 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about Miss Shirley Morales is urged to call the Richland County, South Carolina Sheriff's Department at 803-576-3000, 803-576-3000. Folks, the Baltimore County Public School System is investigating the principal at Pikesville High School for allegedly making derogatory comments about Black students, staff, and Jewish folks. In an audio recording, a voice believed to be Principal Eric Eiswert can be heard ranting about teacher inadequacies, low test scores of Black students, and complaints about Jewish families in the area. Listen.
You know, I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these dumbasses here every day. between these ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag, or these teachers who don't get it, how hard is it to get these students to meet their grade level expectations? Lawrence and Ravenel should have never been hired. And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his black ass out of here one way or another. I'm going to get something to stick. I'm just so sick of the inadequacies of these people. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side.
Well, this statement went out from the Baltimore County Public Schools this morning. The BCPS Department of Schools received information regarding an audio recording allegedly of the principal of Pikesville High School that is circulating on social media and to the Pikesville High School community. On the recording, an individual is heard making highly offensive and inappropriate statements about African-American students. Pikesville High School staff and, okay, first of all, y'all, our audience can't sit here and, they can't see that small graphic. Give me 1 second. Come back to me. Y'all know they can't see that graphic? All right, hold on. We got to blow that up, y'all. No. The person at home cannot see that graphic because that graphic is too doggone small. We got to increase the words. Now, I done told y'all that. We're supposed to sit here and change those graphics. Now, come to my phone, please. Thank you very much. They can now see that. Go to my iPad. Let's go. Now, let me start again. This morning, the BCPS Department of Schools received information regarding an audio recording allegedly of the principal of Pikesville High School that is circulating on social media and to the Pikesville High School community. On the recording, an individual is heard making highly offensive and inappropriate statements about African-American students, Pikesville High School staff, and Pikesville Jewish community. These statements are deeply disturbing and do not reflect the core values of our school system. Although BCPS cannot confirm the veracity of this recording at this time, we're taking this matter seriously and have launched an investigation. Once we determine the facts, we will swiftly address this incident. I understand how upsetting this recording is for many members of the Team BCPS community. I want to reiterate our unwavering commitment to the 110,000 students, 20,000 staff members, and our richly diverse community members who all help make BCPS an incredibly special school system. We will not tolerate disparaging remarks about any member of the Team BCPS community. Dr. Miriam Rogers, Superintendent. Ooh, Lord, that was something else, Rebecca.
I mean, can we see his face? I want to see who allegedly said this. Like, I need a face to the voice so that I can like hear what he said again and then actually see the face to say it. Like, look, people are under stress. They are wilding out. His comments are obviously inappropriate. I mean, are there issues with students being below grade level and not being proficient, especially coming out the pandemic? Absolutely. Should there be some long-term solutions to address it to make sure that students who are in public school are actually getting quality education? Absolutely. This sounded like someone who was very frustrated, and what's very unfortunate for him, he's probably going to be out of his job. But really, can we get his face? I want to see what this man looks like.
All I'm saying is I was just sitting here like, bruh, you were having a bad day, Robert.
You know what? I've been making this argument for years, ever since Justin Timberlake came out that one time with cornrows and a bandana and did like a little moonwalk, and people invited him to the cookout. Y'all got to stop being so liberal with these invites to the cookout, because people get real comfortable real quick. And then when they get real comfortable, they start talking like this in private, not understanding that this will at some point become public. And this is what I think is going on in this situation. This is somebody who sounds very passionate about their job, very passionate about his frustrations with the school district. And when he's in private, this is exactly how he feels, looking at those teachers, looking at those parents, looking at those administrators. So we may think that he may be, he's one of the good ones we can hang out with, he can do the cha-cha slide, etc. This is why we have to be more less condoning and less open when we start bringing folks in to our family and to family business, because this is how they often talk about us behind closed doors. Clearly, this individual needs to lose his job. Clearly, he's not built mentally to deal with the pressures of education. But also, we need people who are passionate but know how to control and harness that passion towards actually improving the system and not belittling and talking about the same people you're supposed to want to help.
I think this sister here might sum it up.
You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job. Get this dance. You about to lose your job because you are detaining me for nothing. You about to lose your job. You about to lose your job.
Yeah, I think that's what's about to happen, Rebecca, Joy, and Robert. Yeah, I think that's what's about to happen. It's about to go down there. So I'm just saying, man, that's not going to end well. All right, y'all. A New York City judge declined to dismiss the case against a white Marine veteran who placed a black subway rider in a fatal chokehold last year. Daniel Penny pled not guilty in June after a grand jury indicted him on charges of second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide in the May 1st, 2023 death of Jordan Neely, a known subway performer who danced in Michael Jackson costumes. Daniel Penny maintains he killed Jordan Neely in self-defense. Penny says Neely threatened to kill people on the train. During an altercation, Penny grabbed Neely, rendering him unconscious. Neely later died at a local hospital. No trial date has been set. And federal prosecutors want a former IRS contractor to spend 5 years in prison for leaking Donald Trump's tax records. Charles Littlejohn pled guilty to one count of disclosing tax return information without authorization in October. He also admitted to leaking tax records belonging to over 1,000 other wealthy individuals. In 2020, the New York Times published a report saying that it had obtained more than 2 decades of Trump's tax information, that he had paid only $750 in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017. The following year, ProPublica published reporting on the taxes of wealthy people. Littlejohn's sentencing is scheduled for January 29th. You know what? Rebecca, I think Biden need to pardon this person. Because here's the deal. I get it. He leaked the stuff. But here's what happened. We then found out how people like Ken Griffin, the billionaire, used to be in Chicago and now moved to Florida, how he spent more than $11 million fighting changes to the tax code. We finally saw how many of these rich folks in America have been cheating the government out of billions upon billions of dollars as a result of this. I think Lil Jon did a public service.
Absolutely. This is a public service, and this is different than leaking classified documents. This is different than leaking military documents. And he did it for free. It wasn't like he went to like TMZ and sought to get money for this, but he felt like it needed to be that it needs to be out in the public space. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Biden does pardon him.
Robert?
2 things. One, are we all just going to ignore the fact that Robin Hood's sidekick was named Little John? And now Little John is robbing from the rich and giving to the poor. And no one else remembers that from elementary school. The Robin Hood sidekick was Little John. And Little John is robbing. But look, at the same time, I understand this has to be legal. If we make an exception for him just because of people we disagree with, then we have to make exceptions for everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Somebody get this man on a plane to Ecuador immediately. We have to protect him at all costs. This is exactly the type of people that we need exposing this information. Wherever Julian Assange is at, wherever Edward Snowden is hiding out at, let's put together a GoFundMe and get this man to safety. This is the information we need to understand just exactly how corrupt our government is, because they will audit you and take you to prison for filling out a form incorrectly or not paying taxes on some money you won at the casino. Meanwhile, we find out that the millionaires and billionaires have been gaming the system for generations, and they're the first ones to come out on TV saying, well, we can't do this to the tax code because we have to pay down the deficit and debt. No, what they're saying is we have to take money and programs out the hands of poor people so that we can keep getting our tax cuts, and then even the cut taxes that you do charges, we ain't gonna pay that. So get this man Ecuador immediately.
Joy?
Blower. And unfortunately, when that happens, sometimes you do have to go to jail. I hate it for him. However, I'd rather have more of him and fewer January 6th rioters. So, if anyone should get pardoned or excused, Donald Trump will pardon those rioters. Maybe Biden will pardon Little John. I'll take it every time.
Good. I think that really, Robert.
That's been in my head the entire time. I wasn't thinking about Robin Hood.
Okay.
I was like thinking about Little John.
Okay.
I'm still from Bankhead. I can't help it.
Okay. All right. All right, then. All right. Vice President Kamala Harris went on The View today talking about what the Biden administration is going to do if they win another 4 years, but she also fiercely defended a woman's right to make her own reproductive choices. Here's some of that conversation.
Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to go after the other side. Sure. Because some heavy-hitting Democrats are sounding the alarm behind closed doors. President Obama reportedly has said that he thinks the Biden campaign is too complacent when it comes to Trump. Representative Jim Clyburn has said the campaign isn't breaking through the MAGA wall. Michelle Obama says she's terrified, as we are, about the potential outcome of the election. Now, are you scared, first of all, what could happen if Trump ever became, God forbid, president again? And what are you going to do to stop the crazies?
I am scared as heck.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm traveling our country. You know, there's an old saying that there are only two ways to run for office, either without an opponent or scared. So on all of those points, yes, we should all be scared.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But as we know, and certainly this is a table of very powerful women, we don't run away from something when we're scared. We fight back against it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So many of us know when we are scared for the future of our children, do we then stay in bed with the covers over our head? Nope. No.
We can't.
We can't.
Cannot.
We cannot.
No.
And this is where this election requires, rightly, that President Biden and I and all of us who are part of this administration, we got to earn re-election. There is no question. We got to be on the road. Listen, in the last 2 weeks, I've been to Georgia, I've been to Nevada, I've been to North Carolina, I've been to South Carolina twice in the first 2 weeks of this year. I will be out on the road. We have to earn the re-elect, and we have to communicate what we have achieved.
Yes.
And that is going to be one of our big challenges. We've done a lot of good work. We need to let people know who brung it to them.
These are obviously going to be important places to go to, and I dare say, Joy, they have to be completely aggressive. We talked about it. I completely disagree with Jamie Dimon. I think you got to call it for like it is. You've got to say what these people want to do. You got to talk about how Trump wants to attack everyone. He wants to use the Department of Justice to target it. He's already said he will use the IRS to investigate and audit his enemies. He's already said the FCC, he's pretty stupid on this one, how the FCC should pull the licenses of MSNBC and CNN because they did not carry his speech the night of the Iowa caucuses. He's too dumb to understand that the FCC has no jurisdiction over cable television. They only have jurisdiction over broadcast licenses, and that's ABC, NBC, CBS, and those broadcast channels. And so they have to be absolutely aggressive and leave everything on the field and hit him with everything because he's already proven you cannot dance with the devil. He is pure evil. And you must call it what it is.
As my grandmother said, if you let the devil ride, he'll want to drive. We literally have to cut it off. We have him because we appeased him and we let it go on too far before. So what you're seeing is cable companies making an independent decision not to carry him because of all the lies. He can't keep up. If he would tell the truth, he would be aired. End of story. What I loved about what Kamala Harris, my soror, was doing on The View today, she was really talking not about Donald Trump. Yes, that's where the conversation partly was, but it was also about what the Biden-Harris administration has been doing for the American people, will be doing for the American people if you give them another opportunity. And she's saying, we're going to fight for you and that we have to finish the job and that we've done things for you already and we care enough, we respect you enough to tell you about those things so that you can not just go out and vote against Donald Trump, although that would be reason enough, but you can actually go out and vote for something. If you like the way the economy is going, maybe not the way it is right now, but where it's heading, you have to then have some consistency and have an administration, a president and a vice president who put you first. Jamie Dimon is a joke. He is wrong today. He's a classic example of why you can't let everybody in the barbecue, as we did years ago. We tried to act like he is one of
I don't know.
But he is not.
I don't know who did that. It wasn't me. Robert, go ahead.
Well,
you know, this is part of the issue that President Trump was in court today for raping a woman. The judge has found and put into the previous order Donald Trump raped Eugene Carroll. Now, the statute of limitations ran, so they found a civil judgment under the survivor statute for sexual assault of Eugene Carroll. But it does not deny or belie the underlying fact that Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, who's currently running for president of the United States, raped a woman. That should be the 3-second ad that the DNC plays about 35 times a day on pretty much every single outlet known to mankind. Are we going to elect a rapist to be the president of the United States? And if you think that's dirty or underhanded, think about what that means to survivors of sexual assault, who have to look at somebody who will stand there and not just rape a woman, not just be found guilty of sexual assault, but then make fun of her, laugh at her, go on to CNN town hall and belittle her, say she's lying. And if the Democrats and the president aren't willing to make an issue out of that, then they don't deserve to win. And this is my issue with the president's campaign. They seem they're on autopilot or cruise control, and they're just assuming that Donald Trump will be in jail. Don't count on anybody else to beat the other team for you. You get out there and you win the race. If you're not willing to put in the work to do so, and no one else is going to be able to do it for you.
Rebecca.
Well, just like Joyce said, our sorority sister, Vice President Kamala Harris, and happy belated Founders Day to all the AKAs out there. Look, she's a good campaigner, and Joe Biden lucked out because Joe Biden, in my opinion, is very bad on the campaign trail. And what's also very lucky for Joe Biden is that Republicans very foolishly has made reproductive rights, rights to access to healthy and safe abortions a voting issue in 2024. So now we have a woman vice president who's crisscrossing the country, reminding women, especially in states like Ohio, where we saw a Black woman the other week who was on trial because she had a miscarriage. And she was potentially being charged with doing something to an unborn child because her body rejected the pregnancy. We have a vice president who is a woman who could crisscross the country talking about those things. And that's very powerful in 2024 when Republicans have elevated this issue into a voting issue. So I say Joe Biden is lucky because people are feeling better about their personal economy. People are feeling good about the overall economy. And Republicans are going back to culture wars, and a specific culture war around abortion access that they're not going to win with women. We do need women to turn out to vote. We need Republican women, we need Democratic women, we need nonpartisan women to turn out to vote. And what's going to be really interesting when they turn out to vote, and if abortion is on the ballot, they're going to break for the candidate, which is the vice president in this case, who supports access to abortion rights. Why? Because Vice President Kamala Harris is a good campaigner out on the campaign trail, and she's able to connect to the key constituents who are caring about these number 1 and 2 voting issues in the country right now.
And actually, to that particular point, the Republicans better listen to even that airhead, Kayleigh McEnany, who was on Fox, and she actually echoed what you just said. Listen.
Fascinating, and I'll get to abortion in just a moment, but I disagreed with almost everything she said in this interview. I will say it was one of her better interviews when it came to style. She's been clearly doing some sort of media training, and she's been deployed to hit 3 buckets. Progressives, where she has more credibility than Joe Biden. She did that today. She talked about Israel and Gaza. Young people, she's been going to campuses. She hit that today in this interview. She talked about, she literally said, I love Gen Z, I love Gen Z, kept bringing up student loans. And then women. She's on a show whose audience is mainly women. You just saw it. She brought up abortion again and again and again. Even when she was given low-hanging fruit, she was asked about January 6th and 91 indictments against Trump. She pivoted right back to abortion because she knows what is true, which is the GOP has lost every single abortion ballot initiative post-Roe, every single one. Ohio, Kansas, not only that, record turnout. Vox, more Kansas voted on abortion referendum than in any primary election in Kansas history. New York Times, twice as many people voted on Ohio measure that cast ballots in primaries for governor, Senate, and House. She knows abortion ballot initiatives will be on 10 states at least and swing states. So she wants to drive young women to the polls. This is why I've implored the GOP, as someone who is pro-life myself and adamantly so, speak from a place of compassion, which I've been watching Governor Ron DeSantis. He talks about hearing his daughter's heartbeat. And not only that, speak to be pro-mother, not just pro-baby, pro-mother. And Governor DeSantis, his last interview, he said, I made child care products tax-free in the state of Florida. I am going to be an advocate for maternal health care. We as a party must
Girl, bye. It ain't nothing compassionate about Ron DeSantis. You lost your damn mind. All right, y'all. I got to go to a break for our final segment. And y'all know I've been waiting on this one here. I got to say a little something to all the Dallas Cowboy fans out there. Y'all know what's coming. I'm about to troll the hell out of y'all. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. What's wrong, Rebecca? You a Cowboys fan?
Say
it again.
What I'm about to go do.
Say it again.
I'm about to go get my jersey. Is what I'm about to do.
Oh, please, by all means, go get your jersey for the next segment. Oh, please,
You want Deion Sanders? You want Emmitt Smith?
Matter of fact, go get all of them. Please.
They might let you play.
No, right. No, go right ahead. When we come back, I want you to have on your Cowboys jersey for my next segment. We'll be right back.
I'm wearing blue.
We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Please go get your jersey. I would love nothing better for you to wear your jersey. We'll be back in a moment.
On the next Get Wealthy with me, Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, nurses are the backbone of the healthcare industry, and yet only 7% of them are Black. What's the reason for that low number? Well, a lack of opportunities and growth in their profession. Joining us on the next Get Wealthy is Needy Bartanillich. She's going to be sharing exactly what nurses need to do and what approach they need to take ownership of their success.
So the Black Nurse Collaborative really spawned from a place and a desire to create opportunities to uplift each other, those of us in the profession, to also look and reach back and create pipelines and opportunities for other nurses like us.
That's right here on Get Wealthy, only on Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Smith, creator and executive producer of The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, this past weekend was extraordinary. On Saturday, my Houston Texans demolished the Cleveland Browns, winning our wild card game, and then the next day, Dallas Cowboys laid out a huge turd when they played the Green Bay Packers, losing at home. This is the score right here, 48-32. Now, y'all got to understand something. Several people who work on the show, Henry Peterson, who works in production. Henry's a huge Cowboys fan. Deshaun Smith, who is our driver, a huge Cowboys fan. And Antoine Downs, who one of the freelance photographers, huge Cowboys fan. And I warned them. I said, listen, Jordan Love is going to go into y'all stadium and it's going to look like Aaron Rodgers. Henry tried to blow me off. Well, they wasn't returning many text messages come Sunday night, but there was so many different photos and videos that circulated on social media. I see Rebecca over there shaking her little head. Who little jersey you holding up? Who jersey is that? That's your little Emmitt Smith jersey. You wearing your,
I got Deion Sanders.
You wearing your Deion jersey. Okay, well, you going...
This Terrell Owens.
Okay, you got T.O. That's cute, because guess what? Not now one of them were playing Sunday. And we see what happens. So, y'all, here we go right here. There's only going to be one Texas team playing this weekend. Is this one right here. Yeah, that's who's going to be playing on Saturday, against the Baltimore Ravens. Brandon, who's in the control room, we're going to hurt his feelings this weekend, too. All right, y'all. So I came across some great items. This is a great one right here, Rebecca. You're going to love this one here. Dallas is Green Bay's home away from home. The Packers are now 6-0 all-time when playing at AT&T Stadium. 3-0 versus the Cowboys in regular season. 2-0 versus the Cowboys in the postseason. 1-0 in the Super Bowl. Damn, so when the Packers go play at y'all place, Rebecca, it's a home game?
I mean, they got a drawer.
Is this how you looked on Sunday night, Rebecca, right here? Is that... Is that how you look right there?
I was lit up so bad in the group chat.
Oh, got you.
It's still going.
Yeah, and Jerry Jones was this was his quote here, I'm floored. Yeah, this was him following the loss. He was floored. I bet you wasn't just floored, Jerry. You wasn't just floored. Y'all got blown out. I thought this one here, they pulled, remember Jerry Jones was outside with the Little Rock 9. Remember that? So somebody posted Jerry Jones waiting for the Dallas defense at the locker. They pulled his Little Rock, Arkansas photo when he was out there with all them other white racists trying to keep black folks from going to school there in Little Rock. Let's see here. This was they just cut to this. Boy, they were not happy with Dak. They just said he was just straight ass. I mean, they were hardcore on Dak, Rebecca. I was like, damn. Look. Oh, no, hold on, Rebecca. We ain't done. Now, don't give me the what had happened was they said Jerry Jones ain't been this mad since Ruby Bridges was trying to go to school. I thought that was cool.
NFL team.
Wait. I really love this one here where they said, what's happening? Trust me. I ain't done, Rebecca. I ain't done. Oh, this is for Henry, Antoine, and Deshaun who keep talking. Playoff wins since the Houston Texans started in 2002. Dallas Cowboys 4, Texans 5. Wow. Okay. Oh, we not done. We got some better ones. Oh, this is a pretty good one here. I got lots of comments on Facebook. The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl on the left, on the right, not without tickets.
Someone DM me that.
Oh, this is a great one here. They say it's not a logo, it's a rating. Oh, that was a good one right there. Oh, I love this one right here. Boom. Homegoing services for the Dallas Cowboys.
Who got the body?
That was pretty. Y'all whole team got bodied. The whole team got bodied. The whole team.
Who doing the feud?
This is right here. I love this here. The Dallas Cowboys cycle. Season starts, beat up on bad teams. Fans get delusional. We them boys, this is our year. Choke in the playoffs. We are here. The circled one in red, Rebecca. I think that's appropriate. Oh, there's a new movie coming. Dak Prescott starring in the movie Choker.
Look, it's a rebuilding year.
Oh, it is? Oh, now this was a cold-blooded one right here. No words. No words. No words on that one. No words on that one.
Dakota alone. Dakota did the best.
This is a great photo right here. This is the fan reaction of Cowboy fans having been consoled in the last several years. You see right there in 2021, 22, 23, and now 24. I know. I'm sorry. But y'all will get over it. Let's see here. What's next? Was this you right here? How I slept last night while my phone was blowing up with all these Dallas Cowboys sucks text messages and memes. Is that how y'all were looking?
Yes.
Is that how y'all were looking, Rebecca? Okay.
Yes, while
all right.
Concealer today.
Okay. I thought this was a pretty interesting one. Doritos, not your year.
That hurts my feelings.
Ooh, and they had the Jordan crying meme on the bag. Ooh, they had the Jerry Jones crying on the bag. Ooh, that was cold-blooded. That was, not your year. Okay, all right, let's see here. Let me go to, okay, so I saw this video, Lord have mercy, and I just had to play this video. Here we go.
I did my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. 'Cause here we are back where we were before. Just once, can we figure out what we keep doing wrong?
Oh my goodness, the great
We unite America.
The great James Ingram. The great James Ingram. You know what? I met James Ingram's daughter. I later told James the same story. Rest in peace, James. I said I hated about James' song. James never. I think only one song he ever got the woman. And I said, James, you always came up short, just like the Cowboys never get to win. Okay. Somebody did put together this meme using. Remember when the brother went to court and he jumped the judge? Watch this.
Yeah, we got
So they put that one together. The Cowboys fans jumping Dak Prescott, but this is probably my favorite one. I'm trying to find it. This is on George Foster's Twitter feed. I think he goes by George Foster 72, and I think this is George and his daughter. I think, Rebecca, you're going to enjoy this.
Daddy, how long has it been since the Cowboys won the Super Bowl?
August for the longest time. Whoa, August for the longest. There's no Dallas Cowboy fans in sight. Are y'all still them boys after tonight? Green Bay destroyed you. No championship for you. That hasn't happened for the longest time. So much has happened since you won your last. Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, trash. Lost in the wild card. Green Bay just stood on your star. You haven't won it for the longest time. Maybe this won't last very long. You said you'd win this year, but you were wrong. Dak Prescott let down CeeDee Lamb. He's the interception man, and that's all that he's known for.
All right, so that was actually Robert Williams Films on TikTok. I think on Instagram or TikTok, Robert Williams Films, who put that together. So, hey, and the word.
We them boys.
So y'all remember the brother worked for the hotel? It's above me now. So now that y'all season is over, Rebecca, you can go ahead and wash your jerseys. There'll be no need for them brought back out because your season has concluded. And so this weekend, please enjoy all the spare time that you have while the rest of us will be cheering on our teams who are still in the playoffs.
We do a public service. We unite the country. We were still them boys.
Yep.
We'll see y'all next year. And you know what?
Y'all
it's
know.
a rebuilding year.
Y'all know.
We're going to try to get to the Super Bowl.
Y'all know. I done said it. I hate the Cowboys more than I hate the Klan. On that note, we out. Joy, Robert, and Rebecca, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. Folks, that's it. Roland Martin Unfiltered. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Be sure to support us in what we do. Even you Dallas fans, I know, but y'all suck. Okay, so join the Bring the Funk fan club. Send your check and money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. Cash App, $RM Unfiltered. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. Available at bookstores nationwide. Folks, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!
Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home. You dig?